and Jonas back in red. Yesterday we talked about it in yesterday's show. That he on purpose he didn't want to hang on to the jersey, but now he's back into it. So, and knowing that now tomorrow we have a mountain stage, I don't think they're gonna create a situation to give the jersey away again. So yeah, I mean, I would say not a big event for the GC, but mental victory for UAE.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are breaking down stage 5 of the Vuelta a España, a 24-kilometer team time trial won by Team UAE with João Almeida and Juan Ayuso picking up 8 seconds on Visma-Lease bike and Jonas Vingegaard, who finished second, and Little Trek coming in third with Giulio Ciccone. Even though he lost, Jonas Vingegaard takes the race lead back. He now leads Juan Ayuso by 8 seconds, as well as Almeida, and Ciccone 9 seconds back. Former race leader David Gaudu falling down to 6th place, 16 seconds back. And then after we break this down, we will predict tomorrow's stage 6 and give our picks for the stage. Johan, just a few cliff notes before we get your takeaway of the day. Not a ton to say since this really was just time bonus gaps essentially, but Ineos comes out really strong. Ghana's pulling. They're losing riders too fast. They end up finishing further back probably than they wanted, almost 20 seconds back. Red Bull was flying through the opening time checks, and then Mateo Sobrero overlaps a wheel with the teammate, crashes. They end up finishing still pretty high up in 4th place, 12 seconds back. Potentially would have won it without that. So terrible for them. UAE just rips through every time check, but I was surprised almost at their measured pace. Like, for example, they were second through the first time check, third through the second, and then they ripped the third part of the course, finished first. And then the surprise of the day, besides Israel Premier Tech being forced to slow down due to protesters and then losing time, but then getting some time back from the organizers, is Visma-Lease bike. They have a decent ride through the first time check. Terrible ride from the first to second time check. They did that section. I think they only were faster than 4 or 5 teams. Lotto, oddly, was the fastest team in that section. And then the fastest team in the final third of the race. Not enough, though. They finished second, 8 seconds back. But what was your takeaway of the day, Johan?
Yeah, I mean, it's 24-kilometer time trial, as you said, with one technical part in it. Take of the day. I mean, I think the teams we talked about yesterday, UAE, Visma, Little Trek, Ineos, and Red Bull are the 5 first teams in the stage. Small differences. I think yesterday I said, we're going to go somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds of difference. It was less than that. If you see, there's only 12 seconds between the top 4. That's not much. So basically, it's a status quo in terms. It's not going to be a stage that will be decisive for the Vuelta overall win. But I think it's a mental victory for UAE. It's been a while since they've won. I mean, at least, there's not that many team time trials anymore lately, but they're not super famous for winning team time trials. At least as far as I can remember.
It's like Paris-Nice 2 years ago was probably their biggest recent.
Okay, yeah, but that's different. That's a different. It's basically launching your leader to the finish.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Visma, I think in the end, in hindsight, having to ride with 7 riders instead of 8 could probably cost them the victory in only 8 seconds. But no, I think the strength of every team has been respected. One team who did better than I expected them to do, for example, is Q36.5. They only lost like 20 something seconds, which is not that much if you look at the composition of their team. So small differences, and Jonas back in red. yesterday we talked about it in yesterday's show. That he on purpose he didn't want to hang on to the jersey, but now he's back into it. So and knowing that now tomorrow we have a mountain stage, I don't think they're gonna create a situation to give the jersey away again. So yeah, I mean, I would say not a big event for the GC, but mental victory for UAE.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing that surprised me most about the stage was David Gaudu on Groupama FDJ only loses 24 seconds. Pidcock loses 22, and then Felix Gall on Decathlon loses 17. So that's like, those are not as big of a gaps as you would imagine. And then after this, there's only 27 kilometers of individual time trialing remaining, which means it's like, what could you realistically pull out there? Like not a lot, which means we're probably going to have a really clustered tight GC battle, at least amongst the top guys through the rest of the race. Bad news for people watching. That could create boring racing. And then if it's the other way, if it's a blowout, that could also create boring racing. So I'm not super positive about the prospect of exciting racing. I don't think.
And also, Spencer, also what another thing that stands out for me is the speed. The speed. If as a team in today's team time trial, you do 53.2 kilometers average speed, you know where that brings you? 53.2 average speed over 24
I bet
kilometers.
That's last place, right?
Last place.
Yeah.
Last place. It's the winner is 56.8. 56.8, almost 57 kilometers average over a 24 kilometer, not straight course.
Yeah.
So, with corners. So that's quite something. That's impressive.
I mean, Visma on that second section of the course, they go 53.8 kilometers an hour, and it is technical, so that's very fast. And they're a full 3 kilometers an hour slower than Lotto on that same section, which is kind of unbelievable. Maybe it's just me projecting. I thought you could sense a little bit of the rustiness with team time trialing. You could tell it doesn't happen as much as it used to. Like Sobrero was overlapping his teammate's wheel. He was on the left side of its teammate's wheel, but it was a right to left crosswind. And then people are pulling off like into their teammates' wheels. And then you saw Movistar go off the side of the road. And I also wonder with these bikes and the speeds, like, are they even built for team time trials? Like they're moving so fast that your margin for error is tiny.
They are hard to handle. They are really hard to handle. That's for sure. No, I think the training for this kind of effort here, I think the training has been in the days before the Vuelta, because the Vuelta being the last Grand Tour, teams typically deciding quite late on. It's not so much a fight for selection anymore. It's like the selection of teams is the opposite. It's like, okay, who do we have left who actually can go? Whereas at the beginning of the season, especially for the Tour, who do we have to leave out of the team? Because there's probably 12 or 13 riders. Here it's, okay, we have to find 8 riders. We have 5. So who are the other 3 that can actually do it? So the training for this kind of event is just basically with these 8 riders in the 2 days before they get in this case to Italy, when they were there to just after the travel to Torino.
I was surprised by UAE. The thing that I didn't notice before, or the first 4 stages of this race, like how they're obviously not big, like in width, but just how big that team is. Like I saw him on the podium, and João Almeida is not that short. Like he's 5'10", 5'11", and he was like much shorter than the rest of the team. Like these guys are trucks, and it showed today. Like
Soler, Ayuso's tall, Soler is tall,
Oliveira
is tall.
Jay Vine's taller than you'd think.
And then Grossharten is also not short. He's also
they're big, like pursuit. They look like a team of pursuiters, basically, which paid off today. And then my big question, and maybe we don't have the answer, is Visma. Kind of an odd pacing strategy. Start with 7 riders, so a rider down. They're missing Axel Zingel. And the more I think about it, that type of rider can be good, even though they're not a good time trialist, can be good in a team time trial because it's about 30-second bursts and then you're resting. Like that actually is a valuable person to have. They don't have them, but so the time's taken from the fourth rider. Like UAE finished with four riders. Most teams with GC riders finish with four riders. Little Trek, Q3 6.5. Visma finishes with 5, which means they only dumped 2 riders along the route. Why do you think that happened? Like, what's the thought process behind that?
I mean, because the 5th rider just didn't want to get dropped.
The reason I think that's surprising, if you don't follow team time trials, is normally you would have all your riders at the times not taken on, like, exhaust themselves and go as hard as they can, and then they drop off. So, like, they don't even need to finish with you. You should probably use their energies to, like, the maximum so you can get the fastest possible time. One only thing I could think of is, were they worried about, if the 4th rider slips out in the corner? Because it was kind of a technical final kilometer. Like, you have a 5th rider there to pick up their time. You don't have to wait for them. Or maybe they just miscalculated the pacing.
No, I think it's safe. It's safe to have a 5th rider. Look, for example, at UAE. There were 4 riders, and Marc Soler. You never know what's going to happen in those last 500 meters. If one of those riders, takes a corner in the wrong way and he loses the wheel, which they did.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have a spare guy there, just in case something goes wrong. I think that's the thinking behind it. Because, I mean, especially if it comes down to seconds. If Soler, for example, I mean, listen, we know Soler, how he rides. That's actually how he rides. He gets dropped, comebacks. So he even does it in the team time trial. but no, it's good to have another guy there. Just not just to say, okay, 4 guys and everybody else just goes their own rhythm at the end. I think I kind of like that, to have a spare guy just in case something happens.
And what do you have any thoughts on Ineos? Like, they go flying through, like, very fast through the first 2 time checks and then kind of struggle. Like, to me, it almost looked like Ghana hurt them. Does that even make sense at that level?
You know what? If you have a strong guy and somebody who's stronger than the rest, and a machine like Ghana, it can be a disadvantage. Especially, I mean, normally. Things have changed, obviously, but I was always in favor of using your stronger guy just to do longer pulls, not to go faster. The strong guy always had to just stay double the time pulling than anybody else. Is that what Ineos didn't get right? If you have a guy who's stronger and has a lot more power, and you can kill your teammates, especially the guy who's just behind you. Or no, the guy who's just in front of you. If he pulls off, and then you have Ghana do a strong pull after 2 or 3 pulls, the moment you have to pick in again in the back, and there's this strong guy having done an acceleration, it kills you.
Yeah. Like, that's the old saying, like, longer, not stronger for the pulls in a team time trial. And it's like, it kind of looked like it was working, but it looked like Ghana, maybe this speed just pushed them over the edge a little bit. Also, Marc Soler might have gotten gapped off a little bit because Juan Ayuso, my Lord, he was absolutely ripping through that final kilometer. Like, I would say my big GC takeaway from the day is Almeida and Ayuso looked pretty fit. Like, this undercooked narrative, we'll find out tomorrow, but that I was really, like, you could just tell looking at them, like, ooh, these guys are flying through this time trial. Maybe that doesn't translate to the mountains, but especially Ayuso, just looked really, really fast in this time trial.
Yeah. No, they did a great time trial. I mean, if I look at the composition of their team, it's a pretty strong team, man. I mean, I would say
it's not a bad team.
I would say Grosshartner is probably the weakest. I mean, obviously Domin Novak, but this guy does it all. But if you look at Almeida, Soler, Björk, Ayuso, Oliveira, and Jay Vine, I mean, those 6, they can hammer. So yeah, I think logic has been respected, the strongest. The team with the strongest guys won. Only question mark for me is if Visma has 8 riders, it would have been closer.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge disadvantage not to have that. Matteo Jorgensen said, they thought the wind was a little bit different. It affected their pacing. They probably held too much back. But they were cruising through the third half of that course on the way in. So he's not just making that up. Like they were flying. They probably could have gone a little faster with the 8th guy. It's closer. I think, as we said at the top of the show, though, the thing that surprised me the most was the lack of gaps. Like, we're now kind of back where we started again. Jonas loses his time bonus that he got on stage 2. Very equal GC. We head into the mountains.
I mean, really small guy. You look 8 seconds on Visma, then 9 seconds Little Trek, Red Bull 12, Ineos. You just said disappointing time trial. It's only 16 seconds. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And then Movistar, 17 seconds. Decathlon, 17 seconds. Q36.5, 22 seconds. Groupama, only 24 seconds. I mean, those were. Groupama, Groupama and Decathlon, they've changed a lot, but man, there's been times in history in the Tour that these teams would have lost, and obviously team time trials were longer. They would lose 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
easy.
I mean, I
remember, Spencer. There was a year where I don't remember, it was 2003, 2004 probably. The Tour de France changed the rules of the team time trial in the Tour because there was teams that lost so much time and they were long time trials also. It was 50, 60K. But they capped it. They said, no team can lose more than 5 minutes. Like, if you lost 7 minutes, you lost 5.
That's like the Tour de l'Avenir.
And it was actually so stupid, that rule. The second, so you have the team that wins. The second team cannot lose more than 30 seconds.
What?
Yeah. So if you lose by 20 seconds, you get 20 seconds. But if you lose by 40, it was 30.
You lose 30. Yeah.
So yeah, that was back in the days.
Well, now we're seeing maybe why these were removed from the Tour de France, because that's
well,
ridiculous.
Nowadays, I mean, all these teams, they have extraordinary equipment. The level of everybody is, I mean, to see, for example, a team like Movistar finishing only at 17 seconds, that's quite the performance.
They also went out. They had a guy go off the road, and they still only finished 17 seconds back. Like, we should say, Little Trek as well was cruising through, and then I believe they had a rider crash into a barrier. So it just, I think a lot of the margins here were like the team that had the cleanest run through won. I mean, as we said, also very, very strong. Any other GC takeaways, Johan, from the stage?
No, I think everybody comes through this quite unscratched. No. Yeah,
pretty much unscathed. Now I'm kind of Vingegaard, he loses 8 seconds. He's now 8 seconds in the lead. So he was 16 seconds ahead of those guys. He gained 12 seconds on them on stage 2. And then the time bonus on stage 3. So it really is like kind of funny. Can you imagine the amount of work that went into this team time trial and like how aerodynamic people are? And then it's essentially adding up to time bonuses at the end of uphill sprints. Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll predict stage 6, which is actually kind of a tricky stage to predict. All right, we're back. Tomorrow's stage 6 is 178 kilometers long. We just got to Spain. Today was the first stage in Spain. Now we're leaving Spain. We're going to Andorra, summit finish. It's actually a pretty hard stage. I mean, it would be hard to ride if we all went out and rode this. We would think, wow, this is brutal. These guys will cruise through it. But it starts on a Cat 3 climb, 11K long, 4%. That's going to be very, very good for a breakaway. Then it goes into a 1K long climb, 24 kilometers long. Sorry, first category climb, 24 kilometers long, 3.5%. That's another good one for a breakaway. And then they get into Andorra. There's a sprint point at the start of the second to last climb, bonus seconds at the top of the second to last climb, which is 4K long at 8%. They descend down. They go through it's like the big city of Andorra, La Villa. How do you say that?
La Vella.
And that's the biggest town, I believe, capital city of Andorra, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, Andorra is Spencer. Andorra is Andorra. There's a few little towns around it, like San Julia, and but Andorra city is Andorra. It's just a city.
And then it's a 10K long climb, 6.5% up to the finish.
Yeah,
but that actually is going to be interesting with the time bonus at the top of the 8% climb. I'll read the odds and then we'll get your take on who's going to win. Jonas Vingegaard, the heavy favorite at plus 175. Giulia Ciccone plus 900. David Gaudu plus 1,600. Jay Vine plus 1,800. Lorenzo Fortunato plus 2,200. Egan Bernal plus 2,500. Pablo Castrillo, the hero of last year's race, plus 2,800. Eddie Dunbar plus 3,300. João Almeida plus 3,300. And then Felix Gall plus 4,000, Juan Ayuso plus 4,000. Kind of some odd guys down there. Again, if you want to bet and you don't really know how to, or you just want the best price, check out NextBets at nxtbets.com/bet-outcomes. You will be served up exactly where you can bet where you live and the best sign-up bonuses. But Johan, do you think this is breakaway or GC, and who do you think wins?
It's difficult to predict the breakaway. I did remember that I went up there once in Pal in the Tour de France. So I did some research, and we did this same finishing climb in 1993, Spencer. How long is that ago? It's 30 years ago.
Almost
32.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
32 years ago. Yeah. I looked at the results. There was not that big. I mean, the differences were not. I remember Oliveira Rincon, who became my teammate later on. He was he won the stage from a breakaway, and then 150 behind there was Tony Rominger, Bjorn Rees, Jascula, Indurain, Mejia. Then a few seconds after, Chiappucci. Let's say the top 15, 20 of the stage were all within 20 seconds. This was a hard stage, by the way. We talked about it. We talked about it before. So if I look at the information about this stage, it was crazy. It was 231 kilometers with 6,000 meters of elevation.
It's absurd.
It's stage 15 at the Tour de France.
A world championship circuit right there.
Yeah. But after such, obviously you can't compare to the France Vuelta España. This was, in the last week. But there's going to be differences, but not huge differences. Although I have to say, though, that I do remember this other climb. What is it called? La Comella, the second last climb. I remember that climb. We usually did that before in either Vuelta Catalunya or Semana Catalana. It's only 4K at 8%. It's pretty hard. And then, you basically go down and then straight up to Pal. So, yeah, I think it's the GC guy, Spencer. I'm going to go for Jonas Vingegaard to win the stage, 175 positive odds. He is the best climber of this race. So I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult between break and GC. I just wonder if it's too early in this race for breaks yet, because the GC teams still have so much dry powder, 170 kilometer long stage, not overly difficult. Like if Visma really wants to, they can control this. And like maybe Little Trek helps them, as weird as that would be, since they have a GC rider, but Ciccone wants to win the stage. No, I'm going to go. I'm making this up on the spot right here. I'm going to pick David Gaudu plus 1,600. Fast finish, in very good shape. Is really, I think this comes down to who beats Jonas Vingegaard in an uphill finish. And if it was harder, maybe nobody. But this is not like, and I always hate when people do this, like 10K long at 6.5%. That's not that hard. But for these purposes, for these guys, like it will be a fast climb. And I think Gaudu's speed can help them.
Spencer, it's hard. Yeah, the climb, Spencer, it's the overall, it's all 6.5%, but it's pretty hard. it's a proper climb. So I don't think people will cruise on that climb. It's there's going to be a big battle. We're going to see Vingegaard and Ayuso and Almeida and Godu. Those are the guys we're going to see. There's no hiding there.
No, in terms of wild cards, I mean, this is tough because you could go for breakaway guys. I think that's a little risky. Obvious breakaway candidates would be Jay Vine, Lorenzo Fortunato. I just am not convinced it's going to be break. I think it's going to be ridden too hard in the peloton. But I'm going to go. I cannot believe this guy is down here. Juan Ayuso plus 4,000. He is a fast finisher, and when he's on form, he is a good climber. Just this year, he had multiple summit finish wins, like Tirreno Adriatico, that was solo, but he beats Primoz Roglic at Catalunya on an uphill finish. Like, the guy can finish off climbs. I'm going to go him just because he's so far down there, plus 4,000. I thought he looked pretty fit today.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, my wild card is going to be very similar. I'm going to go for João Almeida. Also plus 4,000. I don't know why he is down there. They're probably thinking, okay, he's still recovering from his crash, but he looked good. Okay. Also today, his interview afterwards, he sounded pretty confident. And Almeida on a climb like this, especially if it's a climb where this is a typical climb where you can pace yourself. He's shown already in the past that he can win those. So at plus 4,000, I think he's an ideal wild card for tomorrow's stage.
Yeah, he was beating Jonas Vingegaard in an uphill finish this year at Paris-Nice.
Twice.
Yeah, and at what was that race? Algarve. And I mean, the thing I don't understand is, just for example, Marco Frigo, very good rider, but he's on the same odds as Almeida and Ayuso. Like, well, who has the better chance of winning the stage, Marco Frigo or Ayuso or Almeida, two of the strongest riders in this race? So I don't get it, but we're taking it because we're confused why they're so far down there. Anything else, Johan, before you take off?
No, I think that's it for me.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow to break down this uphill finish. And another thing I meant to say that I forgot to say is, even if you're like, oh, it's going to be breakaway because they want to give away the jersey. Well, stage 7, the stage we'll preview tomorrow, is even harder than this. So they'd probably just get the jersey back anyway. So I think Jonas has the jersey if he's going to win this race. There's no giving it away anymore. I think we are where we are with the GC. But we'll be back to break down the stage, the first, I guess, true summit finish. How many times can we say that at this race? It will be stage 13. We're saying, oh, the first true summit finish is today. But I am excited to watch to see how this plays out.
Okay, Spencer. Thanks.
All right. Bye.